Good evening, everyone. What's up? Gonna give you all some time to get up on here. Welcome to another great edition of Brackish, salty, fresh, all things and anything culturally, socially, and spiritually, even tonight, having to deal with the Chesapeake Bay area. And we're just coming at you just straight up in your face. Of course, my lovely co host is here, Christy Bellich. Everyone say hi. Hi, Christy.
Hello.
And our wonderful guest, ready to rip and roll. It's Kristen Bailey. Hey, Kristen, how are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you for joining this podcast. You're giving us so much cred.
Well, thanks for having me.
There we go. So, how about this? We'll just go right into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
So, I am a mom from Boise, Idaho. I was a realtor, and I've just kind of stepped into this role, uh, doing all the things intuitive. It's been a lifelong thing, but here I am, and I'm really excited about where this journey is taking me. Here to you.
Well, that's cool. So, Idaho, that's a big move. I mean, I moved from Maryland to California and drove across the US.
Oh,
I mean, is there anything that you miss about Iowa?
Well, Kristen is a friend of mine who
Uh-oh.
supported. So she's not a Marylander. She's a native Boise lady. She's a
Wait, are you in
Boisean.
Boise right now?
yes.
Okay, we should have led with that. Kristen's in Boise, Idaho.
Yep, I'm in Boise, Idaho. Pretty much, I wasn't born here. I was born in San Diego, but I was raised here, so I'm pretty much native at this point.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off, Christy, but believe me, you guys are gonna have fun with the verbal gymnastics of Christy and Kristen. So however that happens. So I'm sorry, Christy, you were saying something really cool. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, Kristen is somebody who I thought might be awesome for the podcast because she's a Cancer, which it's a stretch, but Cancer is represented by the crab. So I feel like crabs are very, very wise teachers, and she is one of the wisest teachers that I know, or wisest friends that I know. So it's a stretch, but we made it through. So
Kristen, do you eat seafood?
I love me some lobster.
Okay. How about have you ever had Chesapeake Bay steamed crabs the way we do it with the Old Bay seasoning?
No, I would love to though. I've had the that restaurant in Las Vegas, the
Which one? They all have
Joe's,
buffets.
the Joe's in Caesar's Palace Forums. It's like the soft shell
Ooh,
crab.
yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A lot of crab legs. A lot of crab legs.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
over here in Maryland, we don't do butter and lemon. We do Old Bay, and more Old Bay. Okay. These crabs swim in the Old Bay when they dying. They get steamed in the Old Bay, gets all up inside their lungs and stuff like this and that. And then when you're finished picking all the meat out, throw some Old Bay on top. They guts. Eat the guts because that's only a true Marylander. Now, I don't eat the guts because the guts is full of what's called mustard. That's not mustard. That's not the mustard you put on your hot dog. That's a
Right.
whole nother story, whole nother day. But it's just a Maryland thing. So what we can do though is I know one of the unofficial associate sponsors, and we're working that. A friend of mine has a beef jerky company called Red Truck Beef Jerky, and they created Old Bay beef jerky. So we'll send you a bag of that. And it's a
Thank
great way
you.
to get a taste of that. And the cool thing is, Old Bay seasoning not only is great for seafood like crabs and shrimp, you can even put them on oysters, but you can put it on chicken, baked
Yeah,
chicken. It's
put it on my
awesome.
chicken.
There you go. So okay, well, great. Well, let's jump right into it. So tell us a little bit about your I don't know if I want to say clairvoyance or your intuition. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate the term psychic, but
Okay, yeah,
I like to
I can
use the
understand that.
word intuitive empath.
Now, when did you first know that you had this ability? And I'm just going to let
Well,
you talk because evidently Chinese food's here, so just keep talking.
okay. So, I mean, really as a child, but I would have to say the turning point in my life was literally almost 20 years ago to the day, February 21st, 2001. I really feel like I had my first major breakthrough experience. But, it's just one of those things. It's always been there, one form or another.
Kristen, what happened on February 21st, 2001?
Oh, man. So my Persian kitty, Cinder, he passed away. I got him for my birthday when I was 5, and I wasn't there when he died. And I came home, and he was in a plastic bag in a box, and I buried him in my backyard the next morning. And I said a little prayer to him, and I just told him, when you make it over, let me know you're okay. And a week to the day that he died, I had an absolute visitation. And that's really what opened the door. And it's never been the same ever since. It's never been the same. So I think there's moments in life that bring it about, but I believe that we're all born with abilities.
Mm-hmm. And I know you well, and I know that yours started very young, from what I remember. Do you, for people that have abilities, because your abilities kind of are very expansive. Like, you talk to the paranormal, and you also do intuitive readings. But when you were young, like, was this encouraged in your family circle at all?
It's not that it wasn't encouraged. I just think that both of my parents, I believe, have abilities, and I think it runs in families, and I have siblings that have abilities in different ways, and I do believe that we're taught to think logically, and if it doesn't make sense, if it's not physical, if we can't see it, touch it, then it's not real. And I think that's actually what causes the door to close. And I think a lot of children have abilities, but when they hit a certain age, I mean, they're told it's not real. So that's what closes the door. But sometimes it just keeps going. It just keeps going. And as an adult, I feel like it's only gotten stronger for me.
Wow. I know my daughter, well, let's go further back. My daughter's mother recognized that she had a certain level of clairvoyance. And now, is that a bad word? I use the general term because I know there's different forms of it.
Yep.
And but lack of a better term, a very intense intuition.
Yes.
That's why she would yell at me all the time, because I was thinking about doing something bad, evidently. So we had our daughter, and when my daughter was about 15, we took a trip to Hawaii. I'd been, and we went to Pearl Harbor, and I was serving the Navy in Pearl Harbor. It was really cool because now they've got the battleship Missouri there. So we did a tour, and right before we did the tour, my daughter said she was hungry. She wanted a hot dog, and she just packed this hot dog with onions. And I'm like, how can you eat onions? Ew. She's like, I just like it. So then we go on the tour. We're in the battleship, and we're on what's called one of the mess decks where you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'm starting to feel sick, Dad. I need some air. Now, me being the father of the year, of course, you shouldn't have eaten all them daggone onions, right? So we walked back out in the open air, and she felt better. So later on that evening, we were talking. It was one of those great daddy-daughter moments. We're just walking around Waikiki, and she's like, can I tell you something? I don't want you to be mad. And I'm like, honey, I'm never going to be upset at you. And she's like, well, I kind of can see things, or sometimes I get strong feelings about it, and I don't want you to be upset with me. And I'm like, I would never be upset with you, number one. And number two, your mother's kind of have that. Your mother has that ability. So she's like, if I told you something, you wouldn't be freaked out. I'm like, no. She's like, well, when we were down in that mess decks area, I'm like, yeah. She goes, I could taste blood, like a strong taste of blood in her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that, and I'm like, you know what? If they were in battle or whatever like that, anyone who got shot, they would bring him to the mess decks. I said, did you notice their stainless steel tables? She goes, yeah. I said, yeah, they become operating tables.
Mm-hmm.
So she was able to pick up on that And have you ever been to Hawaii yet, Kristen?
Not yet, but I want to go
It's
because it is such a spiritual place. I already know that.
intensely spiritual, intensely spiritual. So let me ask you this question, just real quick. Now that I'm back from it's Chinese food night in my house, and my housemates, we just, we miscommunication. Sorry, I was gone, but anyways, are there places you visited where you felt more tuned in than others?
Definitely. San Diego. I went back to San Diego about 15 years ago, and I went on a tour, but I did go to the Whaley House. And at the time, I was married, and my ex-husband, he thought I was crazy, you and your ghosts, all that. And going through that, he definitely could feel it. And so I mean, it's really a lot of places that I go. It's not just specific cities, it's really everywhere. And it just depends on what has happened or what has transpired. And it's so random, but it's not random when you start to put the pieces together, because sometimes, like, I'll be at the dentist's office. I had a crazy experience at the dentist's office where I had several people come through, people I didn't even know, but they were relatives of people that I knew. And
Hmm.
it's just really about them finding the opportunity to be able to come through for whatever reason. And those are the things that's the mystery of it all. That's what makes it so exciting, yet so you just never know what to expect. You never know.
Hmm. How about you, Christy? Are there places that you visited across the globe that you felt more tuned in?
The Comedy Store in Los Angeles, California.
I can only imagine.
And Kristen helped me because Kristen, while I was in Los Angeles, was like sending me information about different places in LA. And she also does something called a spirit box session, which is so fascinating,
Hmm.
where she talks to people on the other side.
Is that
So
right?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm still getting the hang of it.
Well, tell us about it. Like exactly. I mean, there's all. I mean, people have seen all kinds of weird stuff in movies that isn't true. So why don't you give us the straight dope of how it happens with you and what you've been able to do with it?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, so many things have happened. I could be here for hours
We
if you
got
wanted
time.
me to. Um, but I believe that regardless of what happens paranormally, spiritually, it's all connected to our life in the present time. And we do get messages directly related to what we're going through. I do believe that we're not alone. The people that have left us are still with us, and they're still guiding us and helping us. And the whole point of all of it to me is to really, truly recognize how connected we really are. Because, I mean, just
Hmm.
how is it that the mother of a friend I haven't seen in 10 years come through to me in the dentist office, and this woman I've never met, and have a message for me to send to my friend who I haven't seen in 10 years who lives in another state? How is that?
Hmm.
And how would I know that? I never met this person, but the things she told me, so there's just so many things, good and bad. And I've seen the dark side of it, I've seen the light side of it, but it does exist, both sides. You can't have one without the other. And so it's just really trying to weave your way through it and try to basically translate what all of this means. It's like learning another language at times,
Okay.
because they don't always directly tell you what their message is. Sometimes they'll send a bird, or they'll send symbols and signs, or I'll hear things. I mean, I've had things wake me up. I've had things yell in my ear. I've had things touch me. I mean, there's so many things that have happened, but a lot of the times it's in dreams. But just really knowing. It's just an inner knowing. You know things that you can't explain.
When did it first occur with you? Like when you knew, like the first message you received ever in your life, and how old were you?
Oh, I mean, I remember being scared of things when I was little and not understanding. and telling my parents and things like that, and just having a general awareness of deeper things I probably shouldn't know as a child. But as I grew into a teenager, I really feel like um, growing up into a woman and the changes that take place in your mind and body really open that door. And I have to say, um, all the time, I have 3 sons, and each time I was pregnant, my intuition was at an all-time high. And
Mm.
that really, I mean, it triggered that. And then just going through puberty, having experiences. So there is definitely a direct correlation with that, I believe. And I've heard research talking about poltergeist activity in homes where there's preteen girls and boys
Okay.
because of the mental energy and emotional energy that the person does put off.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's like opening up a Pandora's box talking about all of this stuff. There's so much to it.
Okay. Wow. Whoa. Okay. Um,
She's
It's crazy. I know. It's just
I don't think it's
crazy.
crazy. See, that's the thing. I want to make sure, like, one thing that Christy has helped me with is just normalizing um, intuition, normalizing astrology to where, our society with, the puritanical, attitudes people have, where we're taught that's evil, that's the devil, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, which is gone on for centuries. Either if you don't do it the way everyone else doing it, then everything else is evil. That type of an attitude. And I just love how Christy explained with me. She's like, this is a combination of your own spiritual beliefs, astrological positioning of celestial bodies, and just the way your path is written. And I'm like, I've never ever had anyone explain it to me like that. So that's one thing with you being here. I want to take off that stigma, that
Yeah.
negative stigma that people have put on others who are intuitive. And it's sad that your ex-husband had that negative attitude. I mean, you know,
What's funny though is that I do believe he was a part of the process. It's almost like he was a catalyst. So basically, his demons irritated my stuff, so people can get
mm,
together and have a literally a reaction. So I'm grateful for that, because
mm,
in the end he totally saw what was happening, and I don't care if he believes me. I believe me. So,
okay,
and that's really all it is. And intuition is really all about knowing yourself. It's trusting
okay,
yourself and knowing yourself. We all have it. We're all born with it. It's there. You just have to believe
yeah.
in yourself, and
go ahead,
don't
Christy.
and don't second guess it, because I swear every time I've tried to get logical and second guess it, I've always been wrong. Anytime that I trusted my gut and followed my heart and went with it, it was the thing. It was the right thing.
It's
Well,
good to know.
but Kristen's like one of the most intuitive people that I know, and and the thing is, like, the thing that you helped me with was when you were talking about working as a realtor and going into different houses and feeling the energies of the different houses, because that to me is even just like, it's so fascinating because every house, every space, every place has its own energy in a lot of ways.
Yes.
um
And land.
yeah, and land. And you were telling me, oh, I forget the story, but you told me like the creepiest story about like one of the houses that you were at. Was that the one that had you quit real estate? Is that the reason why you left real estate?
It's not the reason why I left, because honestly, I don't want to leave it. I just want to do something different in it, because I don't think that my role was what it's supposed to be. Because I've had too many things happen that pushed me out of that role into something else. So that's kind of what's happening. It's this whole other transformation in the same realm. I'm not supposed to be selling houses. I'm supposed to be healing houses, is really what I feel. Uh, because It's never satisfied me selling homes, and that's not the deal. It's about the relationships with the people and finding that perfect space for somebody, because I don't think there's anything more important than home.
Mm. Well, now that you guys have brought this up, anyone watching this is going to be like, "Well, what happened?" Are you
Yeah,
Well,
what
able to talk
happened?
about? Are you able to talk about? And it doesn't have to be a particular one, but just one that stands out, that something that you felt or something that happened.
yeah. So this
Just pick one.
one, this one was funny because I was helping these people for about a year, and they lived in another county, and this house in question was near my house. So they didn't come with me on this tour. I just said, look, I'll run over there, see what's going on in the house, take some pictures for you. If you like it, we'll come back and you guys can walk through it. And I'm so grateful that they didn't come with me that first time, because I went in and it was an older home, and it had been sitting for a while, and it was really inexpensive compared to the other homes around. And so I went in, it was older, I could see all the things that maybe needed work or whatever, and I went downstairs because there was a basement, and that was really like the kicker for them wanting the home. So I wanted to go check out the basement, and it was partially finished. So they wanted me to check all the other things to see what it would take to finish it. So I went down there, turning off lights as I go so I don't have to go later, turn them off. Well, I was taking pictures, and I know I turned the light off behind me, and I turn around and it's on again. And I was thought, okay, well, maybe I just forgot to turn it off. And then as soon as I thought that, this feeling came over me, and I just started shaking, and I knew I wasn't by myself. And I just got that creepy feeling. And I just said, okay, I will go. It's time. So I started walking up the stairs, and I just got this sense of urgency, like I needed to go. Like it was getting stronger. It was behind me. I didn't want to turn around. So I got upstairs, shut the door behind me, and I could just tell, like, whatever this was wanted me out. And as I was turning off the lights to get out of there, I'm shaken. I hear footsteps coming up the stairs behind. There was nobody there. The house was locked. And so I'm like trying to unlock the door to get the hell out of there. I don't even know if I put the key back in the lockbox. And I ran out of there, and I called the client as soon as possible. And I said, this is not the house for you. And I looked at the pictures that I sent, and there was weird things in the pictures, and I sent them, and they thought they saw a face in one of the pictures. So that was that. I get home, I deal with that. I tell them what's up. The light in my living room just shuts off. And I thought, okay, whatever. Electrical stuff, here we go. So then that night, 4 in the morning, I wake up like having like this panic attack. 4 in the morning, just panicking of nothing. I don't even know what was going on. It was just like this. I mean, I don't know, but it freaked me out. Got up, took my son to school. On the way back from dropping him off, my car died. The electrical in my car went out. And I was
Wow.
like, oh my God. Okay. So I get my car started, drop my kid off. I go home, I call my dad, and I said, Dad, you got to pray for me right now. Pray for me, because I don't know what's going on. I mean, it was like this thing just attached itself, and it did not want me there. So all of that happened. And then I find out the house, the reason why it was for sale and why all of these things happened is a reverse mortgage. I believe the person that lost the house, they were pissed off about it. They really were. Because
Mm.
I called the agent. He thought I was a nut, and I don't care. But I know what happened. And so it's just things like that. You know, they work from the other side.
Okay.
Mm,
Wow, that's intense. That
It
is
scared the hell
intense.
out of me.
it's
Christy, you were
scary.
raising your hand.
I was giving us, I was making the good stuff,
Yeah.
protecting us, protecting the
Okay.
airwaves.
But,
Like she's swatting away flies or something or what?
I was swatting away the bad,
but at the end of the
keeping us
day,
safe.
I really feel like there's nothing to fear. We just fear what we don't know and what we can't see, and they
That makes
feed
sense.
on the fear. We cannot fear them, and 9 times out of 10, they don't want to hurt us. They want us to help them or just get the hell out of their space. It's not about demons. You know how rare a demonic possession is. I'm just sick of these ghost adventure shows, and all these crazy shows acting like there's demons everywhere. And believe me, evil exists. You can't have one without the other. It's not as prevalent as people would think.
Mm. Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That is excellent to know. How about this? In meeting people, have you ever met someone that on the outside was pleasant, but you sensed and your intuition said this is a bad person?
Oh, yeah. Many times.
Okay, got to give a story. Got to give a story.
Oh, I mean, I find that I've definitely been a narcissist magnet. And I know that's an overused buzzword, but I'm an empath. And so the antidote to a narcissist is an empath, and that's just the nature of the beast. But, like there was my mom's ex-husband. I knew he was bad. I knew he was evil. I could see it. I couldn't stand the man. I mean, there's been a few people like that. I just knew they were not right. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't wrong.
Now, well, not so much to pick on him, but since he's the ex-husband now of your mom, like, did he come across to everyone else as a nice guy? Like, I
Tried
guess where I'm
to.
going to is like I've been in situations where I had bad feelings about people, just bad, but they were the nicest person to everyone around them. They attracted people to them, but I knew underneath it all that there was something, deceptive going on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had exes like that myself, but so my mom's ex-husband, and then my mom had a boyfriend once that, I mean, I literally physically fought this man. He was so evil, in fact,
Whoa.
that, yeah, he was possessed, I believe, or he had strong attachments. He ended up committing suicide later
Wow.
on, but I never ever could be around him. He was, I believe, tortured in a way. I mean, he was spiritually consumed. And there
Oh
are people
my.
like that.
Whoa.
I mean, meth addicts, drug addicts, people
Yeah.
that are constantly involved in negative things. I mean, you are what you're around. You are what you consume, whether it be music, substances, food, whatever. So there's a lot of people walking around that way. And there's a lot of people walking around that way unaware of why their life is the way it is. But all
Hmm.
these things keep happening to them.
Okay.
Well, like, and I'm sorry to cut
No,
in,
you're fine. Go,
Sean.
girl. Go on, girl.
Well, so that's the thing about the thoughts that I'm having about what's going on with like government and stuff and like really corrupt officials and stuff like that. I feel like maybe there's like sort of those kinds of things where maybe they don't know what they do, you know? Like it's almost like whatever you were saying, like addicts, like almost like they're power addicted people out there. And maybe there's like a spiritual thing to that.
Oh, most that there has to be, because anybody who is power hungry and needs control is somebody who obviously does not think on a spiritual level that is beneficial to other people. It's all about them, and they're going to have to learn. I mean, everybody has their lesson to learn in this life, and we can go into that other stuff with the destiny cards, but life is all about choices, right? So we can make these choices. We can walk to the dark or we can walk to the light. It's up to us.
Okay. So, did you bring your deck of cards with you this evening?
Oh,
I don't need them, but I have
she
them.
she uses something called like she has like she knows like every date of the year and like knows the energy for every date of the year. She does something. Uh, yeah, Kristen is like freaking like awesome.
Well, I mean, no, but now, Christy, don't sell yourself short. I mean, she was the
Right.
first person I saw do a reading with a regular deck of playing cards, you know? I mean, evidently it's a skill and she's like, oh, it's easy. It's just like, this
But
card means that. I'm like, I can't find my way in and out of DC without my
but
Siri.
I'm telling you, Kristen does cards of destiny, and it's with the regular playing cards, but she like knows. Okay, I'm gonna step back. Cards of Destiny. Kristen, what are your thoughts on the Cards of Destiny?
I love them because, and I do tarot, oracle cards, whatever it takes, right? But this is a new system I learned a couple years ago that everything's already there. Like I don't have to try to manipulate, not that I would, but I don't have to go off of anything other than what's already there. It's been there since the, thousands of years, hundreds of years, whatever. But it's based on the calendar system because every day has a vibration, every number has a vibration. So that's what it's about. And just learning more and more it amazes me. I mean, I've been learning this for 2 years, studying for about 2 years, and I'm still learning more. I mean, it's so cool and profound when you make these connections. But you see how you relate to other people. You learn about yourself, and I think that's really the point of all of it, is to gain self-knowledge.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, would you like to do something with that now, or
Sure. I
like do
mean,
you like how about this? If someone came to you and to do the Cards of Destiny, do you normally like can people go to a website or contact you and they can pay you to do this for them? Or
yeah, I mean, they can DM me or call me, or typically I like to do this for friends and family, because I'm working on a few other things. I mean, I'm not
yeah.
opposed to doing readings, but I've got a few things in the work that I'm not exactly taking personal readings for,
Okay.
just for random people, but for friends and family all day long.
How about this? Are there certain historical events that have happened that your intuition can tell us if it's true or false or or who's responsible? Could we like if I threw out a few incidents, um, like per se, here we go, like JFK. Was that Lee Harvey Oswald or was that a larger conspiracy?
Oh, it was definitely a larger conspiracy. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
All right, here we go.
Oh
Next
yeah,
up, I'm just gonna throw just some random stuff out there.
sure.
You just gonna say it, and I'm gonna leave it at that. She said what
Okay.
she said. All right.
Okay.
Next up, Bill Cosby. Did he actually do those things to harm people?
Yeah, he did, unfortunately.
Okay, now here comes the kicker. You might have to use a lot of power with this. OJ, innocent or guilty? I'm obsessed with OJ. You gotta excuse me. I just love that case. I love that case.
Yeah, OJ definitely, like, come on. We all know. I mean, that's a hard one because that encompasses so many levels of things. And it's unfortunate. It's totally unfortunate, but yeah, he did. And his kids are the one paying the price, and all the families. And yeah.
See,
So,
one reason why I mentioned that's a clear example of power, privilege,
mm,
celebrity, and how all those things were used to manipulate something horrific that actually happened. And I think, I've had family members, one of which was got involved in the wrong crowd, got involved in some, street drug dealing, and the people he was working with were actually the ones responsible for his murder. None of them ever got arrested. You know, of course, the streets talked about it,
Hmm.
and because they wanted people to know this is what happens when you steal from us. But there was never any evidence that could legally tie them to it. So I
Yeah.
guess from the whole thing of just because you got away with it doesn't mean that that you didn't do it. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, are there? Let me see here.
Let me just say
well,
something really quick about OJ. So here's what's interesting about OJ. OJ is a six of diamonds in the cards of destiny. That's his birth card. And sixes are always about karma. So they're about balance, but they're about karma. And six of diamonds are highly competitive. And so you'll find that a lot of your athletes actually fall under that card, because there are different birthdays besides his. He's July 9th, I believe. But with that, the people that, regardless of the suit, six people will always have karma on them quick. because it's just cause and effect for some reason. And it's not even bad karma. It's just cause and effect happens for them a lot quicker for some reason. It's always about balancing the scales. And also being that it's a diamond, for him, it's about financial responsibility. So those types of people will either pay their bills before they're due, or they won't pay their bills at all. And I find it interesting that he still owes Fred Goldman millions of dollars, and he's done everything in his power to try to stop him from collecting on that civil suit. So yeah, that says a lot.
Go ahead, Chris. Look, it looks like you're itching to say something.
Well, I have a couple questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So with because so Kristen like follows court cases. And I really feel like she could work for like detectives, to be quite honest, because she's so good at like figuring these like court cases out. But what is like right now with everything going on in the world and you being so intuitive, like what is it that you're feeling the most, like advice wise, or even like where should people be focusing their, I know on the light, but like energetically, what would you want to point out to people right now?
Oh, I just really believe that so being that supposedly, but I think we're in the age of Aquarius. Some people don't believe we are yet. I really believe we're in the age of Aquarius, where it's about belief and how our social structure is about to change. Because see, before we were in the age of believing, but now we're in the age of knowing. So we're in the place of where science meets spirituality and our whole belief systems and where we're headed and the order and structure of how that lies for the future. Because if you haven't noticed, religion, it's been around forever, but people are really starting to change their views on religion based on what we're discovering on the scientific side. So I think that people's belief systems are starting to evolve, but more importantly, the belief in themselves and really healing the self, healing all. I mean, you've heard all the buzzword generational trauma and all those things, but this is where my generation, I was born in 82. So really generation X and Y, we're at that place with Pluto where we have to heal. Like we are the transformers. Like we have to change everything before for the future. We have to break the chain essentially and call out the bullshit. And so we have to go through the bullshit in order to help the future generations basically stop what happened before. And belief systems and social orders and social structures and where we're headed. Because it's all about the mind now. We're getting out of the 3D physical. What was once important to us physically and materially will no longer be that way. We have to understand what's important to us and what's important to the bigger picture in the world at large. But it has to start with us. The ripple effect.
If I throw out a birthday, would you know the card associated with that birthday?
Maybe. Throw it.
Sean, when's your birthday?
You know what? You said you were going to throw out a birthday. That's not, you threw me under the bus. You know my birthday. Shoot.
July 11th.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Guess what?
What?
Kristen, when's your birthday?
July 11th.
Nice. Oh my goodness. So my numbers are 7/11/70 because I was born in 1970.
Wow.
And okay, so that means we share the same card.
Yeah, 4 of diamonds with a 4 of heart planetary ruling card.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's stability and values.
I remember 1982 well, very well. That was actually a very traumatic year, but we moved from Maryland to San Jose, California, and it was one of the most traumatic times of my life because we were uprooted and everything else. But I remember that birthday well, that it was a happy time. Like I finally was like, wow, we're finally have some kind of financial security. I'm finally getting along with some friends. I feel like we've got some roots now. We moved around 2 other times and things were just really great. And then it's just like stepping on a landmine. And we moved to what we we found out in August, and we moved in October. So
Wow.
yeah, and so yeah, that was crazy. But how about this? Okay, so what's special about our birthday? I think it's special. We get free
I think it's
Slurpees.
special too. I've never gotten a free Slurpee in 38 years. Can you believe that?
Look, you know what? I get more than that. I walk in like I own the place. I get Slurpee, chips, 2 hot dogs, and Ben and Jerry's. Like, holla, it's my birthday. Holla, it's your birthday too. You
Oh,
know, you just
I
grab everything. You're fine.
yep. It is a lucky day, and I will say so. So our card is the 4 of diamonds. So that's solid values, stability and values, because fours are a solid number, and 4 is the number of home. And so
Mm,
our family is very important to us, and we would rather pick um, values over money, but we tend to know what everything is worth. We know what
mm,
everything is worth to us, and it's not just monetarily or materially. It's things in life and relationships. And most diamond people tend to look at everything in terms of what it's worth to us.
okay.
And also, it's funny how our card, we're built like Ford pickups. You know, we can withstand a lot of abuse, basically. We're tough people. We go through a lot of shit. We've been through a lot of shit in our life, especially in our younger years.
Yeah.
Relationship wise, we're the type of people that truly want a good relationship, but it's like we have to go through a series of relationships in order to almost earn that or understand how important that really is to us.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And yeah, and then being that we're a 4 of heart with our planetary ruling card, that's like the Cancer card. That is home, family. Even if we don't have a family, we'll make a family of our friends.
Been there, did done that. When I lived in Hawaii, it was just too much for my family to come visit me. But I just immersed myself in the cultures and the
Yeah.
people. And you know, I think one year I went to like 5 different Thanksgiving Day dinners or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the word, of course, the ancient Hawaiian word for family is ohana, and
Mhm.
it's so much deeper than just saying family. Like family isn't has nothing to do with blood. It
Right.
really doesn't. We're all one big ohana, number
Hmm.
one. We're one big family. But as far as your true family, it's people that you actually connect with, you
Right.
know. And
Right.
the ancient Hawaiians had a deep understanding of that, you know.
They have a deep understanding of a lot of things that I think we should pay more attention to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ho'oponopono is one of those things that I learned actually just recently in the last year. And that's helped me immensely. And I've told it to other people, and it's helped them immensely. And I love the culture. I've never been there, but I really want to go soon.
Get there, get there. You'll love it. All right, since you throwing people on the bus, your turn to roll around. What's your birthday, Miss Bellich?
March 30th.
Coming up. And so you are a 6 of clubs, the the spiritual messenger card, the psychic card, the these people are so psychic, they don't even realize how psychic they are. My
Mm-hmm.
sister's a 6 of clubs. My mom's husband is a 6 of clubs. I tend to find that I have a lot of 6 of club people around me. I think my brother-in-law is a 6 of clubs as well. And yeah, they're the peacemaker.
Mm. Okay. Is there anything in there that they also have sharp tongues? Like when they say something to you, that when they're pissed off, it's like chopping your head off, and you got to go find it after it rolls away. You know?
That's her Aries for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Chris,
So, how about this? What can people do to actually get in touch with their intuition a lot stronger?
I would say listen to yourself. If you have a feeling, don't question it. Go with it. See where it goes. When you start to question is when you get off track and you get off base. You feel these things for a reason. You know these things for a reason. Just go with it.
Awesome.
Kristen is super quotable.
She's super quotable.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just go with it, bitch.
Go with it.
Just go with it. Nice.
Just go with it.
Nice. Okay, so let's see here. I'm trying to figure. I got to hear one more cool story. How about this? We've heard the kind of a scary story. Do you have an extra happy story where you got in touch with an entity that brought you tremendous joy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had happy things happen. I've had
Well, tell us the
relatives.
story.
Okay. I just got to think of which one. There's so many. Gosh. So, I would have to say about a year ago. This happened to me a year ago. This is right at the start of COVID. And this brought me a lot of comfort. And my uncle died the day after my middle son was born, 2005. Ooh. He had pancreatic cancer and he passed away. And so years go by and I've heard from him a little. I feel like since I've moved into the house I live in now, he comes around more often because my aunt owns it. So whenever I'm going to go visit her, I'll get little signs. He'll leave feathers, things like that. But this time in particular, it was right when COVID hit. We had just had a massive earthquake, the biggest earthquake we've had in a while anyway. So it was April 2nd of last year. I was so stressed out. I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of panicked and I was so tired when I hit the bed that night. But I woke up, or I had this dream, and my uncle caught me. I was like running away from these people, and my uncle caught me and held me and just gave me this huge hug. And he had a message for my dad. And he was adamant. I knew, I was so aware that the time was short. Like I just knew to hang on to every moment and every word because I knew we couldn't stay long. And so after that happened, I told my dad about it. But I mean, it was so visceral. I could feel it. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than you are there with them. They bring you to where they are. They will make a way to come through to you. And I wanted to ask him questions or see if he had anything to tell my aunt or my cousins, because that's his wife and kids. But he didn't. He said, I miss him and I love him, but you need to tell your dad. And it's kind of a personal message. But the thing was, my dad knew, and my dad talks to him. And so it was just confirmation that he was listening. And that's what I think. They're with us. They don't leave us. And when we need them, they're listening. People don't leave us. They just change forms. It's just energy. That's all it is.
Okay. That's
they hear
awesome.
us. They know what's happening in our lives. I mean, and they just pop in to say hi.
That's interesting. That's also comforting at the same time.
It is.
Very much so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Christy, how about you? Have you ever had any like super incidences of just joy and happiness of someone you connected with from the other side?
Well, Kristen did the spirit box session at her house and she sent me the recording, and she was talking to Joan Rivers, and Joan Rivers had a message for me, and I took the message and I went to the Comedy Store, and that's because of Kristen that I went to the Comedy Store.
Is that right? Can you share us what the message was?
Well, she said Comedy Store. I mean, she mentioned your landlord, remember? Candace?
Oh, yeah. She said Candace, who sold the house. I found out she sold the house like while I was in LA. But she said Comedy Store, and it was her voice.
Oh, yeah.
It was her voice.
You know her voice. You can't mistake that voice.
You can't mistake Joan Rivers. You cannot.
And she has it on video, and she said Comedy Store. And what else did she say? She said, Anchors Away, which is her album. It's part of her album. And then also she has a pin called Anchors Away.
Which is a bumblebee, which is the name of my business. Is interesting. I mean,
that's also the nickname of my ship on the Navy, the Bubba Bee.
The Bubba Bee?
Don't ask. I don't know. Look. You had alcohol and lack of sleep, your creativity just goes to other places. So that was the nickname of our ship was the Bubba B.
Hmm.
Don't ask. I just said whatever. Just okay.
Were you stationed in San Diego?
No, I was stationed in Pearl Harbor, but we
Okay.
visited San Diego often. That was like bathroom break. I mean, anytime we went east, that was always going to be the first stop was be San Diego, and then so my first real cruise. I wouldn't say a cruise, but I mean, to lack of a better term, in civilian terms, but you know because you do it. There's a really the Navy is about one thing. You go out in the middle of the ocean and you do donuts. That's all you do. You just gotta do donuts, and
Hmm.
you're not always going any place. You're just like
Hmm.
going to an area and doing donuts and listening and
Hmm.
stuff.
My
So you do a lot of that, and then like, okay, we're gonna take a cruise to San Diego as a way to practice for our 7-month deployment. So that was my first trip ever across the ocean was from Pearl Harbor to San Diego, and
wow.
then we did it again where we went north. So we went back to San Diego, hung out there for a while, and then we went all the way up to Canada, back to San Diego, and then back to Hawaii. And then the last trip we did, go to San Diego, and we went to South America. So I
Wow.
spent a lot of time in San Diego. I saw Rush in concert. Um, Metallica's album came out while I was there, the Black Album, and all the frenzy with the CDs. The zoo, visited the zoo. Oh
Mhm.
man, it was awesome. So all I'm saying is just San Diego, or the nickname we had was Sand Dog. I don't even know if anybody else said that. We're going to Sand Dog.
Yep.
But I always felt at home in San Diego. It's strange. It's just like it as exotic of a city as it is, as large it is, and multicultural and everything. And the disparity between rich and poor is so dynamic. I still felt at home there. I
Yeah.
really felt at home.
My
You
grandpa
know,
was in the Navy. That's why I asked. So he's buried at Point Loma.
is that right?
Hmm.
Oh, I'm going to be cremated, and definitely, I told my daughter, you're going to have to throw some of me into Pearl Harbor so I can hang out there too.
Yeah.
So now I've got 3 destinations for my ashes. So, and I guess that's the next point. It's like, okay, oftentimes people say they're going to go to the cemetery to visit their relatives, but if we're energy, we're kind of like anywhere and everywhere, correct?
Right. That's right.
So it's not so much we can quote unquote visit with our relatives without actually having to go into their burial spot. Is that
Absolutely.
true?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I find that they tend to visit us the most in dreams. Um, that's where we're the most receptive, unless we can sense them and we know that they're with us. But it's just, there's a difference between relatives that visit you versus ghosts that haunt a location or a space. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that rolls. So trapped energy, stuck energy, but energy is always moving, at the same time. So they can visit.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Well, we've been here almost an hour. Is there anything you
Ready?
want to ask Christy? Yeah, we've been on here for a minute.
Christy, so I wanted to ask you
Oh,
about Neptune first house.
oh wow. And any particular question about Neptune first house?
So when you have a family with like several people that are Neptune first house, what does that
Mm-hmm.
mean? I mean, is that
Well,
common?
in every family's chart system, there are many family markers. Mine is Saturn conjunct Moon.
Okay.
I have Neptune conjunct my ascendant. So, um, Neptune first house, if that's your family marker, that there's a lot of different things here. One of the things is having to break through illusions is a huge piece of the family marker. What is real versus what is, the disillusionment.
Mm-hmm.
With Neptune on the ascendant, you're also holding the energy of a mirror for your entire life. So, what happens with that is projections. People who have Neptune in the first house often have those project their problems or pains onto them. It's a healer marker.
Mm-hmm.
but it's in the way where people are like, hey, can you dissolve my pain
Mm-hmm.
for me? Because you're tied to the ocean. So your literal physical frame is tied to the ocean itself. If we're gonna get real weird, I think it's an Atlantean marker.
Okay.
So I think it's people who are from Atlantis, in a lot of ways.
It's interesting.
I think.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so both of my parents, my brother and my sister are all Neptune first house. And my mother, myself, two of my siblings are all life path 11s as well. The other two are 8. My other sister is an 8, one's a 9, and my dad's an 8. But we're 8s, 9s,
Wow.
11s in my family. No, nothing else.
So how can I find out where my house is at? I mean, I just bought a house in Pennsylvania, but something tells me this has nothing to do with my house in Pennsylvania. You know.
You have your ascendant in Leo, Sean. So you're technically a sun ruled ascendant. So your connection to the world, literally, when I call you the mayor of Westminster, you're the mayor of wherever you go because you represent somebody who, like Kristen was saying, you do create family wherever you go. Like even in that the complex you're in now with the cafe, you create community wherever you go, which is why, like, even in this online space, you're using your ascendant right now as we speak because you're shining light on everybody, and that's your job. But the reason why this took longer is because part of it was to get through the ego journey, and for men, it's a little bit harder because society teaches you different shadow sides of the ego and stuff like that. So your journey is just starting, like, with everything. So, yeah, bruh. Yay!
Hey,
Yay!
Christy,
Ta-da!
what house is his son in? Just out of curiosity.
I have to remember. I have to relook at his chart.
Yeah, she did my
Let's
chart
see.
like a year ago.
Okay.
I think he's a 12th house sun.
Okay.
I think, which makes him extremely watery. Just like you, which,
I do. I,
like me.
I pee a lot. I pee all the time.
So 4, 8, and 12 are the psychic houses. Those
And
are
so
the
I'm in number 12.
I think you're the 12th house sun. I have to look at that one more time.
Blurry my. Oh, there we go. I'm back. Okay. Okay. You know what? I think I got too much light going on here. My friends always tell me, turn off that big ass light behind you. I'm like, oops, my bad. I gotta save up and get one of those Amazon Halo lights. But
Yeah.
why am okay? I have one last question before we knock off. Why am I so attracted to the number 36 all of a sudden? Like literally in the last year and a half, everything I think about is revolving around 36, 360, 9, 18, 12.
That's for Kristen.
So,
Kristen.
okay. So 36 adds up to 9. So, it could be about wisdom. It could be about, really a frequency even. So 36. So 963 is the God frequency.
That's right.
Tesla always said that everything in the universe comes down to 3, 6, and 9. But if you take the number 36, it comes down to a 3. So it's,
Yep.
I think about creativity, wisdom and creativity potentially. I wonder, I mean, does anything happen to you in your 36th year? I'll have to think about that. I mean,
I did. Yeah, my 36th year, I bought a house in Baltimore, and it was the first home I owned. Is in when I turned 36.
I'll have to, maybe I can look at your year of 36 and Cards of Destiny and maybe
That would,
see
of
if
course,
there's
that would have been
something that would relate.
2006. That's 2006.
2006. Wasn't there some kind of thing that happened in 2006 astrologically as well? I
I
mean,
think so.
hard to say at this point, but pay attention to that. I mean, pay attention to that. Maybe that's Um,
Oh, Pluto was traveling on his moon.
okay.
He was having a Pluto moon.
Okay.
He's got a moon in Libra.
Libra moon. So you're pretty balanced.
In what way?
That's what,
Because sometimes I feel honestly, sometimes I feel out of balance, honestly, you know.
Well, that's the Cancer part, probably.
Okay.
Because we're so intense.
I am
feel
intense.
everything.
I either love something or I hate it.
There's
You
no in
know,
between. I mean, I
there's
try to really
no
not have black and white thinking, but I can be prone to that at times. I have to really remember to not be that way. Like as far as what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and I know those things, but there's that gray area that sometimes we need to see a little more, you know. But 36, I would pay attention. Maybe it's a street, maybe it's a person's age. But pay attention. There's a reason for that. Do you see 36 on the clock?
Well, it's almost
a lot.
It's like the way I think when I think about like saving up money or earning money. It's usually like, you know, like I'm taking courses, self-help courses to like create courses that I would sell to people, and it's always like, you know, $360, $3,600. Okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to earn $1,080 a day because that's 360 times three. It's like stuff like that. I'm doing it over and over in an almost obsessive way.
Yeah, I get that with numbers. I mean, I add up addresses when I drive down streets. I mean, all those things. So I think numbers are absolutely the language of the universe because of the vibrations. Every number has a vibration, just like every day has a vibration. Every person has a vibration because of the number. I mean, it's all about numbers. That's really what it all boils down to.
You ever listen to the band Tool?
My son does.
Have you have you ever heard of their album Lateralis?
No, I'm sure I've heard it.
There's a song on there called it's the title track, but it's built around the Fibonacci code.
Okay.
Syllables in each line that are sung, the syllables follow the Fibonacci. And in fact, if you just in your free time, listen to the album, okay, and then go to YouTube, and someone actually took it and they put the order of the songs in the Fibonacci code, and it turns out that's actually how the band wanted it to be listened to. Wow. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild what they get into with that, but
I can dig that. I mean, I'm all about the hidden meanings.
Yeah, it's very well done. Let me tell you. Well, I think that's good. This has been a fun time. We've been on here for an hour. How do you have a Facebook page that you have or anything like that? I know you're not doing anything personal right now, but we'd love to have you on here again.
Yeah, I would love to be on here again. Thank you so much for having me. I'm on Instagram at Lady of the Lamps. I'm Facebook free for over a year. My life has never been
Facebook free, even though Facebook owns Instagram. I love Instagram. I really do.
But it's like I just don't care what somebody ate today 10 times a day. You know, I just get so annoyed with that shit. I have no time.
Well, great. Christy, anything else you want to leave us with?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for coming on to the podcast, Kristen.
Thank you for having me.
So much. It's been so good. Okay, well, that's it. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. We're going to do these more often, and you're definitely going to see Kristen again. And this has been great. So everyone have a good night. Thank you so much. I'm going to eat Chinese food.
Bye.